Hi there, James Savage from National Club Golfer down at Moor Allerton Golf Club in Leeds. And today we've got one of the biggest product launches of the year. It's the new drivers from TaylorMade, and that's the TaylorMade M5 and the TaylorMade M6. Let's find out what these are going to do for your game. Let's just touch very briefly on some of the new technology that we've got in this M5 and M6 driver. We've still got twist face, which was introduced last year. We've got something new this year, and TaylorMade are calling that injected twist face. You can see these screws here in the face. Like I say, adjustability on the M5 with these sliding weights, a more sort of simple, non-adjustable M6 driver here. Got lots of new materials. We've got new hammerhead in the sort of speed slot area, but we actually went out to Carlsbad to see the R&D team. So let's go over there and get the finer details of this technology.
Yeah, so there's a ton of technology sitting in this bag. This is the new tour bag, staff bag for our best players in the world. Now the M5, we've got drivers, fairways, we have an M6 rescue and irons. I'm holding the new M5 driver. One of the biggest stories of the year is the injected twist face. You know, essentially in M5 and M6 drivers, we have these two tuning ports right here. They're blood orange ports, kind of calling cards to this technology. Essentially, each one of these driver heads is now going through a different process so that we can get every one maximized for speed. There's inherent variation in every head made in the market today. And we wanted to maximize speed as if you're taking the best head out of the tour truck and putting it in play on your golf course. And so both M5 and M6 have the injected twist face. Now actually there's quite a bit more technology as you go to the sole from M3 and M4, and even the address view. When you set it down for the first time, you have a matte carbon back section and a gloss silver front. More carbon exposed on the footprint here, but also when you look to the sole, you have this aerodynamic two-tone carbon fiber over the M5 sole. 20 grams in this new inverted T-track. So this allows golfers to really just personalize it for what they're looking for. Whether they're trying to optimize something or take a fault out in their drivers, you can move these weights around and change the loft sleeve. So you can change the loft sleeve, the face angle, and then higher or lower or more draw or more fade through this inverted T-track. So this is what really differentiates the M5 driver from the M6 driver. So here I'm holding the all new M6 driver. So it once again has the injected twist face. These speed injections through the face maximize the ball speed for all golfers, actually making the sweet spot larger as well, because we have to make that face ultra thin, and this allows us to maximize it across a larger area. Now when you set down the M6, it's much like the M5, but the face is a little bit deeper. And when you look to the sole, this is where it really differentiates from the M5 because it's a fully carbon fiber sole. We freed up a lot of weight. You see the slot here that it adds speed, drops a little spin, but all this freed up weight, we put it back here because we want the CG down and we want it back so it's very stable. And so when you hit it off center and that club wants to twist, it will resist that twist and get most of the collision and the efficiency of that contact going the way you want it to go. And so the M6 driver is really designed to be fast and super forgiving. So we wanted it to see how we could take the variation and reduce it significantly so we can maximize speed. And so to do it, we had to take each and every driver head, we had to measure each one, and that's what we're doing in this tuning process. We're starting with these clubs actually in a legal state, past the legal limit, and then we measure them and tune them back to a legal state and putting each and every head right up against that limit. Something that's never been done before, and we're really excited by it. We're the first to do this because it's really difficult, and we pride ourselves in being innovative and getting ahead of the game. A lot of times you can't get to some of these technology until you go through other avenues of technology. And so these slots that we've been developing, the hammerhead slot, the speed pockets, the flexibility of the face, breaking the boundaries into a way where you can make a club illegally fast if you wanted to and durable. We just simply couldn't get there to this place to actually even consider tuning the face like we are today. And so this is a competitive advantage for us and anybody who's really going to go buy an M5 and M6 driver. The injection ports in the face had zero effect on twist face because twist face is really about accounting for the way people bring the club into impact when they hit off-center shots. what we had to ensure was putting 2 ports in the face is not trivial, right? You have to make sure it's durable. We put it through all kinds of tests to make sure that the flushness is there, so you feel nothing as you rub your hand across it, and it can take the steepest, the fastest collision possible. We've had Dustin Johnson, we've had Rory flying these drivers over 340 yards, no issues. So in replacing the M3 and M4 and advancing with M5 and M6, the M3 is really replaced by the M5 and the M4 is really replaced by the M6. Now, the adjustable drivers like M5 are getting to a place that they're so forgiving that honestly, you can maximize forgiveness in the M5 much like an M6 if you so choose. We actually made an M5 Tour, which is a smaller head. That's definitely for the better player. But one misconception today is that the adjustable drivers are not forgiving, and that's simply not the case. So ball speed is a huge element. There's really 3 things to distance: speed, launch, and spin. And if we can give the best players in the world even a half a mile an hour, they're going to take it. And so the difference between what they're going to have in 2019 versus what they had is an improvement. But what amateurs are going to get is a significant, even bigger improvement, because we hand select the heads for the best players in the world. Why wouldn't we? Now you get hand selected heads to choose from. And I think that's the biggest advantage here. So depending on what you have in your bag now, when you test out an M5 and M6, put it on a launch monitor. You're going to see great results in speed.
Okay, so some really interesting tech chat there from Brian Basil, but it's going to be even more interesting for us to kind of put some of this technology to the test. So we've come to the indoor fitting studio here at Moor Allerton in Leeds. This is the home of their new Yorkshire Golf Academy. Got winter memberships available to use this Flightscope technology and obviously have lessons and proper club building sessions and things like that. So it's good to come to a nice indoor facility like this. It's a bit nippy outside, and we're going to get some data on this M5 and M6 driver. Now, unfortunately, I'm not able to hit these clubs because I'm recovering from an operation, but I've got my right-hand man, Craig Middleton, on hand to give these drivers a good hit. He went out to the launch event in Carlsbad, went for a fitting, got to work closely with some of the sort of club builders and club fitters out at the Kingdom. Let's get Craig set up on the Flightscope launch monitor in here to see, what sort of numbers he's getting from the M5 and the M6 and see which one ultimately is going to be the best for his game.
That was a good one. Felt it.
Yeah, I think that was one of the best ones you've hit there. You could tell as soon as the sound that it just was a really nice sort of like meaty sound. Looked like you'd hit it quite close to the middle. Carry 269. I think you'd take that, wouldn't you? Yeah, you got your swing speed up on that one there at 109, ball speed 157. So like I say, it's all producing good numbers for you. Spin maybe a little bit high just on that one. That'll be the strike. What are your thoughts and feelings when you set that club down behind the ball? Does it fill you with confidence? Do you like the look of it?
A couple of years ago, I quite liked the kind of bigger head, but this is a little bit smaller. I like the matte finish as well, and the silver lines. Yeah,
they've took a bit of the silver off it this year, so it just sort of looks that little bit more stealthy, a bit blacker.
The actual design of the club's really nice. I like the colours as well, the blood orange. Speed injection's pretty cool, isn't it? Like, I thought that would affect the twist face, but obviously looking at me kind of hits there, none have kind of gone left, which usually happens. So
your dispersion is really tight there. Actually, I think that to me, just from watching you hit that driver, I think that's a driver that you can get on with. You're hitting him nice and straight. Like I say, you got carrying 270 yards. To me, it just looks like it's working for you. Now, it's going to be really interesting to compare that performance of the M5 with the M6 with. The M5 being the sort of super premium adjustable driver. Yeah, the M6 is going to be sort of like slightly cheaper. So it's going to be interesting to see how close the performance is and whether or not we feel that the M5 is worth that extra investment, to kind of getting nearer to £500, or whether or not we think, what you can get the M6 to work at, sort of nearer to £400. So let's hit some shots with the M6 and then we can compare the performance of the M5 with that on this Flightscope numbers.
Let's give it a go. Felt all right.
So that's as good a shot as you've hit today with the M6. That one's carried 262, so it's not been quite up there with the M5. To be fair, your club speed was down a little bit at 104 there, your ball speed at 152, so everything has just sort of like down. Seemed to me, you just seem to be getting on better with the M5. But still pretty good. You know, like I say, 262, I'd say that's probably around about the carry that you would expect. Like I said, that was probably your best shot. I'd say your average was probably more down sort of 255. So I think what we are seeing is, you know, quite a bit better performance with the M5. And I know when you went out to the launch event in Carlsbad, you came back to me and the first thing you said to me was that you really got on well with the M5. Yeah. It's quite hard for us to draw a conclusion to say that the M5 is better than the M6, but all we can do is go on your numbers, what you've enjoyed hitting the most. But like I say, from my point of view, looking at these numbers and watching you hit shots, it would seem to me that for you, that extra investment for the M5 would be worth it. Like I say, because you're still getting really good distance and you've got that added adjustability. So the all-round package, seems to be working a bit better for you. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I like having that adjustability on. I can, if something's not going right, then I can think I'm a fit on myself and just fiddle around with it. But I like having that option.
I wouldn't recommend that.
No, I wouldn't recommend it either. But it's still, for me, as a 12 handicap, it's quite good to think, oh, well, if I'm hitting a bad shot, I can just have a little change. But the numbers I was getting with this weren't bad numbers. Or if I'm getting over 250 with my drive, I'm happy. And the dispersion wasn't bad. It wasn't too far left, too far right. Yeah. But yeah, it's not a club I wouldn't say no if it was in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, and it just seems to me that a club like the M6 is built for all-out sort of distance and forgiveness. But what we actually saw was more distance with the M5. Yeah. We actually saw tighter dispersion with the M5. So, I think a fitter would be able to get the M5 working for you really well. Whereas the M6, it's a bit simpler. May work for some people, but maybe not for you.
No, don't think so. But like you say, yeah, M5 for me, but M6 great club as well.
Okay, so I just wanted to go through some of the launch monitor numbers in a little bit more detail on the M5 and M6 drivers after Craig's had a good sort of hitting session here in the indoor fitting studio at Moor Allerton Golf Club. Now, I always say this on all these videos, like, please take launch monitor data with a pinch of salt, because these are very personal to Craig on how he was swinging it on the day, and I wouldn't really want you to draw any dramatic conclusions about these launch monitor numbers. But as you can see from the data that we've got on screen now, the performance for Craig on the day between the M5 and the M6 just showed that the M5 was working loads better for him. The average carry distance with the M5 is 267, and you look at it with the M6 and it's 256. So it's that's quite a significant amount. I know what you're going to say. You look at the club speed as well. The club speed was actually quite a bit faster, with the M5 as well. But I think that's just to do with the fact that Craig was really happy with the M5. So he was swinging it faster. He was just probably just in general just swinging it a little bit better, and that was allowing him to produce the better numbers. And I think that golf clubs are very personal to different people, so you just may get on well with one club and may not get on well with another. So looking at these numbers in a lot more detail, you can clearly see that the M5 is working better for Craig. And I'm not going to say that I think that the M5 is better, but I think there's enough evidence to suggest that it would be worth it for Craig to invest that extra money in the M5. So post your comments below about any questions you have about the technology in the M5 and the M6 drivers. If you want any more details about our testing, any more detailed launch monitor numbers, if you want a little bit more information about the specs, SRPs, shaft options, things like that, please post the comments below. But just let's have a chat about it. If you think TaylorMade are onto a winner with the M5 and M6, or if you think that they're not really progressing that much from the M3 and M4, post those comments below. But give this video a thumbs up. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.